TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, the Iranian proxy Hezbollah launches barrages of missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles at Israel on the first day of Passover. Qatar asserts that its decision to host Hamas leaders in Doha was made in coordination with the United States. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant tells IDF troops to prepare for the missions ahead as operational plans are approved by Jerusalem. The Iranian proxy Hezbollah continues to launch dozens of rockets and missiles from Lebanese territory toward Israel repeatedly, while in response, the Israeli Air Force has successfully targeted two separate Hezbollah commanders who've been responsible for the terror group's aerial defense array. And while aerial strikes against Hezbollah infrastructure seemingly intensified since the alleged Israeli retaliatory strike against Iran, tens of thousands of Israelis remain displaced from their respective homes along Israel's northern border with Lebanon.
This week, at the northern border, we struck targets of the Hezbollah terrorist organization, including aerial defense array infrastructure deep inside Lebanon. We are aware of the great difficulty endured by the residents of the north who have been away from their homes for such a long time. We are determined to continue to target Hezbollah, to push it to the north, and to create a security reality that will allow the residents of the north to return to their homes safely.
Alongside efforts to force Hezbollah to retreat from the border region with Israel in accordance with UN Security Council Resolution 1701, the IDF, in close cooperation with the ISA and Border Police Special Operations Units, have ratcheted up operational activities throughout the West Bank districts of Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley, with chief focus on the Palestinian city of Tulkarem.
In Judea and Samaria, IDF, ISA, and Israel border police soldiers completed a counterterrorism operation in the Tulkarem area in which we eliminated terrorists, apprehended suspects, destroyed explosive production laboratories, and confiscated many weapons. IDF forces continue to operate in Judea and Samaria around the clock to counter terrorism and protect the roads. We strengthened the defenses before and during the holiday.
Admiral Hagari further announced that the IDF Chief of General Staff, Lieutenant General Herzia Levy, has approved plans for the continued fighting vis-à-vis the Islamist Hamas and its terror affiliates in the Gaza Strip, as preparations for the anticipated ground offensive into Rafah are ongoing.
This week, in Gaza, we completed another operation in the central Gaza Strip against Hamas to destroy terrorist infrastructure and terrorists in order to prevent Hamas from restoring its capabilities. All the while, there are forces operating inside Gaza alongside additional forces preparing for the next moves in the war. Today, the Chief of the General Staff was at the Southern Command and approved the next moves in the war.
It is important to highlight that the plan to launch a comprehensive ground offensive into the last Hamas stronghold of Rafah has been made after the internationally designated terror group rejected terms for a hostage release deal in exchange for a temporary cessation of hostilities, a rejection which both the United States and Israel have deplored. Meanwhile, in a film statement ahead of last night's Passover Seder, Prime Minister Netanyahu highlighted Jerusalem's unrelenting commitment to the 133 hostages who've remained in Hamas captivity for the past 200 days.
On this Seder night, our hostages being held by Hamas are before our eyes. Their suffering and the suffering of their families rends our heart and only strengthens our resolve to bring them back. We are not relenting, not even for a moment, from our sacred mission to return them home. Unfortunately, until now, all proposals for releasing the hostages have been rejected outright by Hamas. Therefore, the American Secretary of State rightly said that Hamas has refused every proposal that it has been presented with. In his words, the only thing preventing a hostage release deal is Hamas. Instead of withdrawing from its extreme positions, Hamas is counting on a rift among us. It draws encouragement from the pressure being directed at the government of Israel. As a result of this, it has only hardened its conditions for the release of our hostages. It is hardening its heart and refusing to let our people go. Therefore, we will strike it with additional painful blows, and this will happen soon. In the coming days, we will increase the military and diplomatic pressure on Hamas because this is the only way to free our hostages and achieve our victory.
It is important to know that according to the U.S. State Department, the reason Hamas rejected far-reaching concessions from Israel derived from the Islamist leadership's conviction that the region is on the verge of a full-fledged multi-sector war triggered by the latest hostilities of Iran versus Israel.
I think you heard the director of the CIA make those comments. The reason the secretary made the comments he did on Friday when he spoke to this at the meeting of the G7 foreign ministers is what you have seen over the past few weeks is Hamas move the goalposts. There are demands that they have made. Israel has moved some way to meeting those demands, and Hamas has then changed their demands. And so it certainly does seem like Hamas is more interested in a full-scale regional war, that they were watching the events of the past few weeks and making the determination that they might get the full-scale regional war they were hoping for, and so have not agreed to a very significant proposal that was on the table. And so we will continue to push for an agreement because we believe it's in the interests of Israel. We believe it's in the interests of the United States. We believe it's in the interests of the broader region. But it takes two to make an agreement. And right now, Hamas has signaled that they don't want an agreement.
Qatar, which hosted Hamas leadership since 2016 and has acted as a mediator in efforts to broker a ceasefire arrangement in exchange for the release of hostages in Hamas captivity, is now re-evaluating its role. The reason for Doha's re-evaluation of its mediation role stems from growing criticism over its inability to realize a deal despite its robust ties with Hamas. Nevertheless, when asked whether the Hamas office in Doha would be closed, Qatar's foreign ministry stressed that the Hamas office was in fact opened in coordination with the United States.
We have deep frustration with such statements, especially when they come out of officials who are part of the establishment and understand exactly what the Qatari role and what the Qatari coordination with the international community has been over the mediation and over its humanitarian role. And that is one of the reasons why we are now reassessing our role as mediators. Regarding the Hamas office here in Doha, this office was opened in coordination with the United States for the purpose of mediation between both sides. As long as their presence here in Doha, as we have always said, is useful and positive in this mediation effort, they will remain here in Doha. That said, of course, as we said, we are reassessing our role as mediators, but any decisions regarding this issue will not be taken unless we are finished with that reassessment and we are ready to convey the results of this reassessment.
It is important to highlight that Hamas is reportedly re-evaluating its own base of operations, with sources citing Oman and Turkey as potential hosts. Meanwhile, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh headed a senior delegation of his terror group to Ankara over the weekend, during the course of which he revealed that Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan officially recognized Hamas as a national liberation movement.
تصريحات الرئيس باعتبار أن حركة حماس
The Turkish president's remarks of considering Hamas a national liberation movement and tied it to the Turkish national independence movement was definitely something to be proud of and appreciation from us and the Palestinian people. And he was speaking the truth. Hamas is a movement resisting occupation to free its land, free its holy sites, free its people from the injustice of this historic occupation that has befallen it.
The Hamas leader further revealed that President Erdogan had taken a number of decisions to stop trade with Israel, which the internationally designated terror organization viewed as a step in the right direction.
نحن استمعنا من الرئيس في لقاء اليوم.
The Turkish president mentioned in our meeting today that there were a number of decisions taken to stop trade with Israel, and these decisions impacted a large portion of trade, and we said that this was a step in the right direction.
بأن هذه خطوة بالاتجاه الصحيح.
Regarding the U.S.-led and Qatari broker negotiations between Israel and the Islamist Hamas, the arch-terrorist seized the public stage in Turkey to reassert his Islamist group's demand for Israel to withdraw all of its forces from the Gaza Strip.
العدو الصهيوني حتى هذه اللحظة.
Despite tens of sessions and communications exchanged via our mediators, the Zionist enemy until this point has not agreed to a ceasefire in Gaza. All they want is the return of hostages so they can continue the war on Gaza, and this cannot be. They want Hamas and the resistance to agree to maps referencing the deployment of the Israeli army, as if to say we are legitimizing the occupation of the Strip or a part of the Strip, and this cannot be. There must be a complete withdrawal from the Gaza Strip.
هذا لا يمكن أن يتم. يجب أن يتم الانسحاب الكامل من قطاع غزة.
Turning to the border region of the Gaza Strip, where Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant met with troops of the 101st Paratroopers Battalion and emphasized the need to prepare for the missions ahead.
I tell you, there will be additional missions. Prepare for it. It can be either in the south, here in this sector. It can be in the north. Be prepared for all missions. Exploit the time. You have much experience, much more than anyone who was in your position in the past several decades, because you fought. You accumulated experience while in battle in all of the separate places. You saw battle firsthand, and always remember that the next mission looks different. It isn't the same. Either the terrain changes or the enemy acts differently. While you learn, the enemy also learns, you're preparing, and the enemy prepares, too. Therefore, prepare for all matters, tighten the screws in the system, each and every one of you, from the vest and the various improvements to your personal gear, all the way through the collaboration of your squads, the improvement of your capabilities and battle form, and how to plan and ultimately implement the tasks.
Minister Gallant went on to assert the privilege of being able to safeguard Israel's liberty in its ancestral homeland.
You have the privilege of protecting Israel's liberty in its homeland. This is not a simple task. For thousands of years, Jews did not have this capability. Today, we have the capabilities to protect ourselves by ourselves, which to our regret, it includes a cost of sacrifice. This responsibility lays on your shoulders, and we trust you.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our productions, which are exclusively donation-based, and as such broadcast free of charge, please consider making a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hassan wishing you a Chag Pesach Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.